make sure your phones are on silent mode and you are comfortably seated. We don't want you to miss any moment of this amazing event.
Hindi cinema isn't just a reflection of life. For many, it is life itself. The stories, the icons, the dances, stories. Oh, the songs. Film songs are not just songs, they become philosophies of life. In celebration of this incredible institution, Google Arts and Culture presents a nostalgic trip back in time to revisit our favorite moments in Hindi cinema.
There's an academic to how India reflects very strongly in the cinema story.
Explore a unique retrospective of expertly curated content rare images in high resolution, interviews with industry legends, virtual tours of iconic spaces, and behind the scenes chronicles. An experience that's immersive, inspiring, and occasionally melodramatic.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Google Masterclasses and In Conversation sessions brought to you by the 54th International Film Festival of India and Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute. We are grateful to Google for sponsoring these sessions. We have more than 20 sessions scheduled for you covering various aspects of filmmaking, storytelling, and creativity. Today, we have a very special panel with us. They are the creators and actors of some of the most popular and critically acclaimed web series on OTT platforms. They have entertained us, inspired us, and challenged us with their stories and performances. So, with a big round of applause, please welcome Mr. Manoj Bajpayee, Mr. Nidimoru, Mr. Krishna EK, Mr. Apoorva, Ms. Apoorva Bhakshi, and Mr. Srikrishna Dayal. We are honored and delighted to have them with us today. We also have a very distinguished moderator with us. He's a film consultant. He has authored Lights, Camera Masala, Making Movies in Mumbai, and Rajnikant, The Definitive Biography. She's also a columnist and a film critic. He's none other than Miss Naman Ramachandran. Please, a big round of applause to welcome Mr. Naman Ramachandran on stage. Now, I would also like to request D. Ramakrishnan, General Manager, National Film Development Corporation, to please come on stage and felicitate the dignitaries. We will also take questions from the audience at the end, so keep them ready and raise your hand when prompted. Now over to Mr. Naman to please start the session.
Thank you. Thank you all for showing up on this in large numbers on this very hot afternoon. And I'm glad that we have a very distinguished panel with us. Let's begin with OTT or streaming, as we call it, is fairly nascent in India, and not many, all the people from on this panel have come from different disciplines to OTT. So, can we start with you, Dayal? Now, you have an extensive theatre background. So, can you tell us on about how your theatre background helped you to get into the streaming or OTT space? Am I audible? So, yeah, uh, in nutshell, if not for OTT, I'm not here at all in this point of time, and then I would not have had the opportunity of being on screen actor. So that's the kind of power that OTT has today. Uh, the kind of demand that OTT expects from the technicians or actors. So a background with theater gives immense opportunity for all these actors to get into OTT as quickly as possible and adapt. So though the process of working is different, how you create a scene, how you create a story, how you structure would be different in theater, but then in OTT is also different. But how quickly one actor can adapt into this medium is unbelievable. So that's the kind of opportunity theater actors and skilled actors have in OTT as of late. It's the best period ever. So specifically, what discipline of theater has really helped you in OTT? Discipline. Discipline. I think that's what theater teaches you because uh, no matter what, it's a life. So the actor has to be available. Every single actor, whether he's playing the lead or he's going to stand right behind, holding an armor and then just standing there. He's got to be there on stage on time. So that I think gives a total dimension towards adapting into OTT because the creators of OTT are extremely demanding. They don't have the time because the depth of scene that they are creating today. You know, people used to say that getting into the skin of the character, but it's no longer that. Getting into the skin of the scene is what is important today. So, how all actors believe, trust in each other in theater, that is reflecting now in OTT. Because if there is no trust on stage, then the scene falls flat, and that is what is happening in OTT. Because that trust, the director or the creators are expecting that kind of a trust among each other. So that's beautiful space now.
Coming to you, Manoj, uh, you had a long and successful film career, and you still have a long and successful film career before you got into OTT. What, uh, how did it help you? I'm sure you'll say acting is acting, but was there anything specific that helped you in the longer format?
A longer format is very challenging. On the contrary, Dayal was partially right in saying that you have to get into this skin of the scene, but uh, it's keeping the consistency of the character, keeping the flow of the character, keeping all those nuances of the character, uh, and also remembering each and every scene and where it's coming is the most difficult thing. I mean, Raj and DK, they start with the first episode, scene from first episode, and the second scene that we are going to shoot, it actually coming from the ninth episode. So keeping the graph, and deciding the graph of it, in a matter of time, I think it's a most difficult thing. And you can only do it if you are with the character and with the script. You can't do it. Otherwise, you are just depending on the directors and their guidance. And I personally like to be self-sufficient and not bother my directors all the time that where it's coming. How should I do it? Instead of that, I would like to surprise my directors and tell them that no, I'm quite impressed with the script and I remember it. Now let's try various things about it. So yeah, the consistency factor, the graph, the flow. Uh, I think that's the most challenging thing that most actors must be going through. I go through it, and I would like to believe that everyone goes through it. Goes through the same thing.
How do you do it? As in, do you do it in your head or do you make notes? What's your
See,
secret?
the preparation time is the notes time. When you are doing it, that is not the time when you start jotting down. On the day of the shoot, I try to rehearse quite a lot. I try to read my scenes, as much as possible. Then, with the directors and their input, try various things about it. If I'm going wrong, there is Raj or there is DP who is coming and telling me, Manoj, I think this is this this is not going to be right because before this, your reaction is going to be this. So this performance will not work for you. I'll give you an example. A shootout happens in in a in police station in second season. Okay, after Sunny Hinduja's character, what was his name? Villain dies, and the first time when I performed, I howled. Okay, and Raj came to me and said, Manoj, no, don't do that. Just give me a performance where you are just stunned. Because after this, you're going to speak to your wife, and there you should be breaking down. So you can't break down here. So yeah, these little things.
That is one of the times we that otherwise he's one of those personages who act like he didn't study. And he comes up, he comes to the shoot like he hasn't prepared at all. And he's joking around and I just keep thinking, did he even really see? I'm always worried he's not doing right. So he's one of those guys, who surprise you on this. And he wants to surprise us constantly. He said, tell me, it's okay. I don't want to surprise every time. So he's one of the most well prepared actors. He don't look, who doesn't look it. But once he performs, you realize that he's actually on the top.
Thank you.
Rajan, DK, and in whichever order you want to answer, Now you came into OTT with a background of independent cinema. With I still remember watching Flavors. It's still one of my favorite films of yours, and which was delightfully indie. And now then after a few films you did Family Man, which is obviously big in scale and everything. So what uh, what about indie cinema helped you uh, make a mark in OTT?
Um, I think Hindi cinema made us a complete filmmakers. I remember making our first business cards where we wanted to say director and all that, but we wanted to be filmmaker because it felt like a complete definition of somebody who would not just direct, but write, direct, produce, edit, whatever needs to be done. So indie filmmaking for us really taught us to be self-sufficient, completely self-reliant. If the two of us could actually go and shoot a film, edit the film, and music, sound, the whole damn thing till it releases. So that's what gave us the confidence that we don't know anybody else in the industry. So what do we know is the skill set. We taught ourselves, we bought a computer, taught ourselves how to edit. So this whole package gave us the confidence that wherever you put us, we can make a film, irrespective of the budget, irrespective of the stars. So I think that's what still keeps us going. Even the Family Man, the way we shot it, the way we approached it, the way we switched from features to series, the indie background was so strong for us that it helped us so much to do anything and kind of push the envelope wherever we want to. Because at the end of the day, it's just you. You can screw it up or you can do it well. So it's in the hands.
Uh, I mean, not necessarily for OTT, but in filmmaking, what it does is it helps you come to terms with that you'll not get everything you want, and there's a lot of things you won't know, and you'll have to kind of adapt and guard is the word for it. Somehow get the job done. That's how we started off making films. So once we are comfortable making films, we made a few films, and everybody's making films. Suddenly, this new beast called OTT, this series comes to India, right? I mean, of course, all of us have seen series from the West, and there are so many favorite series in the last decade or two that we all have. But for the first time, we are making every filmmaker in India, like nobody in India has ever made a series, right? There is no producer, nobody who knows how to make a series in India. And suddenly now we have to make a series. So I think that Jugaad mentality, that idea of going back and figuring out how it's done, that comes in very handy. So because when we made our first series, we had to relearn a lot of things about how to make a series, just like we had to learn how to make a film in our first film.
No, also, Naman, I'm so sorry I'm taking this, but there are such trainings that they do in their series. Usually, you've never seen it. You've seen it in Hindi films. Okay, the certain framing, certain composition that these two used to suggest the cameraman, or suddenly think of putting the camera in some place and shooting that particular shot. That used to give me uh, just suddenly it used to tell me that these guys are either watching all the independent films or they are going back to their flavor days. So I think it helps in crafting also. Am I right? It helps in crafting your scenes, your shots. I think it helps me a great deal. My own experience of independent.
Lovely. Apoorva, can you tell us about your journey and what led to Delhi Crime?
So I started out as a banker and soon realized that power of storytelling was where my heart gravitated towards. I'm a army kid who traveled our country and truly believe that we have hyperlocal stories that must reach the rest of the world. Um, the route to Naman, reaching Delhi Crime was exactly in these three steps. I was a Sony Pictures Networks Asia girl. I used to run Animax and DXN for a long time. And American programmers were the love of my life, as in Amazing Race Asia, you name it, like Serial, Simply Magic, Minute to Minute. And till I met Anurag, Shuk, and Vinny. And they have this entire, I call them very lovingly, gangs of Ramnagar, who have built this beautiful indie haven. You walk into the Ramnagar space in Bombay, you'll feel the whiff of independent cinema. And it was very raw. It was beautiful. I saw some documentaries. I remember the first one was Placebo and Her Uncle. These are the two films that I saw that completely blew me away in terms of its narrative strength. And I started falling in love with indies. So I started watching, and they kept rolling out one film after the other in terms of video links, right? Not accessible, best film festival runs, but deeply appreciated across the world, but there was no distribution. So I like to plug myself as a lead gap. How do I kind of fill in the gap? And I kind of started going to every independent filmmaker. And meanwhile, I had left my job and fallen in love with a person who lived in the United States. So I didn't have a job at that time. So I thought I'll self create that job. And I said, okay, I'll go to every independent filmmaker who has made a film in the past 10 years, who travel festivals. And so many of your pieces dropped into my lap. And it was it was just like I went to Netflix and I knew that they were opening their global channels and global territories. And I said, whatever you give to one Salman Khan, give me for 40 films, 40 independent. So these were films that were completely jaded and independent filmmakers were supposed to, I have convinced them that when I said digital rights, they were like, I'm piracy karti hai. You're the one who. So the intention was to be able to train them. So I spent 2 years convincing filmmakers to get the portfolio. And the first deal that we structured with Netflix kind of gave life. But that was also a beautiful time when Ammu, Siddharth, Amal, Pandri, Filmistan, a group of films was released and it not only found viewership from across the world, it started opening up metrics in terms of what OTTs can do. So a lot of our careers are built on that, but I started understanding the lead gaps. And then the buying patterns, renewal of deals kind of started teaching us what is it that is appreciated. Telegram came with a lot of love with Richie just trusting my instincts as for feedback, for creative feedback. And once I read the scripts, I said, no matter what, I will make this happen. Because we went to every platform and everybody passed on it. From Netflix to Amazon to Hulu to Vice. I even went to some South American platforms. But what was interesting was that a bunch of financiers came together. They had faith. SP Global was the last center, and mentors Jeff Gansky. And, story is quite well known, but it was I had to put in my own money, and I went all out. And that was the big risk that you do take with pieces that you really trust. And these are calculated risks. And now you know what Telegram is able to do. You have to have faith in the bounce script. And then nobody else, like that is the living, breathing leader, and including the director, starts serving the purpose of achieving that. I would like to point out to what Manoj said as well, and Dayal said as well, is that there's an ensemble. There is this teamwork that they spoke about so beautifully. There's, yes, there is a protagonist and there's a very clear structure of who is the hero and the anti-hero, but there is an ensemble that uplifts. Like if it was only shouldering, Manoj was only shouldering the responsibility of putting so many plot lines and carrying the weight of so many plot lines, the other performers, and that's why theatre performers and drama school performers are so well adapted because the discipline that you have to perform on stage on that one day together in a cohesive as a cohesive unit is so brilliantly translated to an OTT environment where you don't have specific all Bollywood films have that very specific one character led storyline. Here everybody has their own subplots and they have to shoulder that responsibility of elevating. So Shafali gets elevated because of Goku, because of Rajendra Rasika, well, like all of them, Rajesh Telam, all of them really uplift that performance and so does Goku. So this cohesive unit, and that's a dream and a boon and a pain actually as producer as well as for directors because there's a larger unit to manage. But series are truly large independent films in my understanding. Like a Telegram would be three independent films put together. So that's my journey. That's how I read Telegram. But my last one was Hunt for Veerappan. It's my very favorite. So we talk about that. But yeah, that's
There's a picture of you on the Delhi crime set, taken at some 3 in the morning. You'd actually fallen asleep on a script. I still remember that.
I used to do Hindi dialogue reads for I don't know why. Like Richie, obviously he is fully Desi and completely a full Delhiite, but his Hindi is horrible. So I used to do dialogue checks and I had parts of this, we were exhausted. But there was there was a lot of labor of love in building that one because it's truly everybody came in for the passion of wanting to do something bigger. My crew's average age was 27 years of including our DOP was 25, who's now their DOP, Johan Andres. He started with Telecrime One. And it was that raw energy and young energy, like which was the oldest man on set. Nobody, like everybody else was, I was 33 years old. It's really important to be able to get that energy. That's why we dealt with dark material in this, then we wrapped it in 62 days straight because it was independently financed. Like, there was just no liberties. So, yeah, that was a very, you talk about this photograph a lot now, but nobody cares about it. I think Richie doesn't refuses to pull it down, but it was exhaustion of another point, but it was also deep satisfaction and smiling. I love.
So I wanted to ask all of you about unlearning. Starting with Dayal. Now, theater, a space like this, you have a stage, you have an audience like this, and it requires a lot of projection, right? And OTT is at the other end of the scale. So, without getting too technical, uh, can you say what's your process of acting for OTT and keeping it subtle?
Uh, Unlearning is a very interesting word because that was the first word that I learned when I joined theatre. My director said that what first thing that you need to learn is unlearn. Things like small gestures that we have built over the period of years, as we grow up, scratching, all the small things. So how do you stand neutral on stage? Just stand without twitching, nothing. So that was the first challenge that one has to go. So from there, theatre builds. So all these kind of trainings that one goes through in theatre, the expectation from the creators of OTT is very simple. So when they know there is a theatre actor that's on stage, who's casted, uh, the approach would be different. That is what is my experience that I have seen. The way they communicate what is expected from that scene or from that actor. See, these days in OTT, there are 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes single shots. I mean, it's as good as doing a play, a scene on stage. It's unbelievable to see all that happening. Uh, so, actors, when it comes to stage, it's actors' medium. But OTT or cinema is a director's medium. So how quickly one adapts to the expectation of the creator is what matters, and that's quite possible. These days, you see a lot of theatre actors, busy with OTT and cinemas. That's the case today.
Manoj, did you have to do any unlearning to adapt to the streaming medium?
I don't know. I don't remember. Uh, the only thing that you unlearn is what you have prepared. This is what I do. I prepare hard, and after that, I forget about it. Because this is very important. Preparation is very important so that you are confident and you are very much familiar with the script that you are going to be part of. But when you are going there on the set, you have to keep your mind empty for other things to come in. Preparing too much can go completely wrong. You can go completely stiff, and you will be unwelcoming of all the new ideas that a director can give it to you on that bit, on that day. And it has happened to me in the past. When I started it around 29, 30 years back, it happened to me. I used to over prepare. I used to have so much debate with my directors because I was not ready to welcome this idea. Because I was so over prepared. I was so prepared that no other new idea was welcome on the day of the shoot. So eventually I started realizing that this is somewhere the reason is something else. The reason is me. The reason is my preparation. So I'll have to keep my mind empty on the day of the shoot for the new ideas to come in, for the directors to direct me.
It was very important. That is the unlearning that I have done.
Um, um, Rajan, DK, obviously you've learned a lot from your indie days. So how was the transition to suddenly having almost, from what it looks like from the outside, unlimited resources at your disposal and compared to small indie films?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite thing is if somebody gave you a small house, it's too small for you. If somebody gave you a big house, it's still too small for you, right? So the way we operate is right. I mean, we develop a script, concept, everything, and based on that, there are certain budgets that come out of it, and invariably there is always somewhere you'll have to cut down the budget. Like no matter how big it is, you could be cutting down 10 rupees to 8, or you could be cutting 10,000 rupees to 8,000. But it's always, and it's almost like saying, okay, if I had all the money all the budget I needed, I would do this. But somewhere you'd be like, okay, you're not getting it, so you maybe have to cut down. So I think every filmmaker faces that somewhere.
Yeah, budget's always a problem, right? Doesn't matter where you are. The Family Man, for example, it was one of the smallest budgets we shot on TV. At this point, when we look back and realize it's a really good budget we had for the Family Man. And it's not like they were expecting us to do action, but we really want to do a lot of action. It wasn't really on the script. It didn't really jump out action wise, but we decided to push trucks off hills in Kashmir and do one take sequences on nights and all kinds of things with it. We wanted to do action that we haven't done before, but there is no budget for it. So at the end of it, again, indie roots come in to figure out how you're going to shoot it with this budget. With brilliant actors like Manoj and Dayal and all these people, we were now pushing them to shoot a lot. And they were delivering it like that. Once we were in the flow, uh, we would shoot scenes in like half hours because we started picking up a third camera, and it was great to be in the middle of it, sweating, carrying our own camera. Yeah, I usually pick up the third camera and say, do the other one too because I want to get close-ups of the actors can perform so beautifully. We always treat actors like melting ice on table. We feel that it should be shot as soon as they're fresh, and not let them think too much and start improvising too much. The first improvisations are great.
Manoj knows this very well. Manoj does some Manoj does some brilliant improvisations, right? And on the first take, second take, he does it, and superb. And that by the third time, fourth time, you're maybe it's not an improvisation anymore because it become part of the act, right?
So those things. Yeah, I mean, so we kind of start to do these not for the budgets, but also the fact that dynamism on set. Instead of going back to the van and sitting there 3 hours of lighting, and then we come and shoot one shot at a time, it's just too much. I feel it's broken into so many pieces with coverage that we thought, especially we discovered that while making series that we can actually do it very raw, very intense, very fresh. As soon as the actors come, we kind of finish the scene, we block it and do it very quickly. So yeah, I mean, we were surprised at how much we pulled off in the Family Man. Cut to the latest series, Guns and Gulabs, same thing. We started shooting in Telugu and we shooting what was on script. And then one day we decided let's shoot action tomorrow, like 2 days from now. Netflix calls up and are you serious? You're shooting action now? Like we don't budget, it's not budgeted, but we have to now stretch the dollar. Somehow with the budget we now flying the action. They prep, they're shooting this chase sequence in the mountains. It's not even in the script. So yes, budget is always tight respect of what you're shooting. And you always cut corners. You always take money from here and put it here to make it work. Yeah, doesn't matter how much it
The short answer, in summary, for all of this is no matter what filmmaker you are, no matter what film or show you're making, whatever money you need, you will never get a penny more than that. In fact, you will get a little bit less than that.
I'm sure no one has described the two of you as melting ice before. So now coming to a slightly technical part, everyone is aware that you need a script and and then the script becomes a film or a series. But for OTT, you have something called a Bible, right? So let's start with, I'll come to the actors afterwards, but let me start with you, Apoorva. How do you go about building a Bible? And then we'll come to the same question.
I think the core, very effective pitch strategies really start with, especially, let's say, fiction versus non-fiction. Talk about both. Fiction is very clear. You have to have a very clear concept, which is succinctly explainable. If you like, oh, you have to read the script to understand it, that means you yourself don't know the concept. So, Bible includes a concept, note, artistic statement, which is the tone and the treatment, and the take you want to take, which is unique. And in my understanding, if you've not written the pilot, which means you have done some story engineering of all episodes, then you've not put enough effort because people are coming with that ready material now. So if you think that you have one pager concept and people should commission development, I'm sorry, but others are putting that effort of going a little more into it, self-financing that development process. Because what the Bibles we receive right now is includes a full-fledged fleshed out. And to write a good pilot, you have to flesh out some engineering of the rest of the episode. So there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. But a Bible for a fiction series kind of looks like that. For non-fiction, it's research-led. And anything for fiction also research-led is great. Non-fiction is just research. If you have a very clear understanding of, you've identified your storytellers, you've identified what the main pull of the pull of your intention of doing an investigative doc series or a doc series which is like My Octopus Teacher, which is lyrical, you have a very clear intent with the hypothesis of the research that you want to go into is very
So for fiction, along with the pilot, you also expect to see the beats of the remaining episodes?
the beats. If it's done, because I do feel a very well-informed pilot only comes after you've beaten the whole. That's what story engineering that I spoke about. 8 episode beats are done, or 6 episode beats are done. But a good grip on understanding what that season one arc could look like is great. What people come back is what we expect of season two. You have to have an idea of there's a longevity, there's a seasonal appeal to it, appeal to the concept because when you do pull in so many resources and time and energy of performers and artists, you want to be able to take it a little more longer haul. So the investment kind of makes
Then for season two, like what do you do with something like Veerappan, which is a finite story? So how do you pitch that?
so the hunt for is actually a very big magnum. It's like there are many, like the hunt for Osama bin Laden, the hunt for Veerappan. So there is a more global appeal to that. This Veerappan story is 3 seasons, 8 episodes each. Let's do it. Yeah. It's for fictional part, as in because we had like more than 700, 800 hours of just interviews of very core people you see. We've shot so much more, and there's so much of unraveling. We also only focused on the hunt period. We focused on the fractured psyche. Plus, the restriction of 4 episodes came from Netflix, but very intelligently because there was a data point that for example, Don't Fuck with Cats or, The Tin Doesn't, all the doc series across the world were performing only till the 4 episodes. Everybody was dropping out after that, while Country being the first OG production. So these are analytics that tell you where is your audience at, where their attention span stays. But overarchingly, the intention is to be able to create compelling content where you are for India, I thought Veerappan was defining in terms of non-doc viewers watching, a documentary series like and loving it as much as how fiction series are appreciated as well. So it was cinematic, it was by design, the music, the way the storytellers were approached. It was very, very immersive as an experience. So that-
And Rajan DK, what's in your Bible? Bibles.
I still don't know what Bible should have.
One line.
No, I learned the entire Bible structure now. But earlier we were Googling it, saying how do you do Bible for family man? No idea. But everybody has their own thing, but looks like what she said is more standard practice. Uh, we just made our own stuff up. I didn't have this artistic statement and stuff. We just had a story, and we didn't even have a full picture. Actually, we went to Manoj and said, let's do it. And then we said, okay. And we told Amazon, let's do it.
And did Amazon also say, let's do it?
So let's say, let's do it.
That's such a smart way to do it.
So, coming to the actors, what did Raj and DK share with you for the family man? Yeah, it's okay. They're all friends here. You can share it.
There was an audition that had happened in Chennai, and the condition was that we have to speak in Sri Lankan Tamil. So that was the thing. I don't know to speak Sri Lankan Tamil, right? I know to speak Tamil. So we did the audition. So the interesting thing is, I got the scene 4 days before the audition. So I had time to prepare, which generally, earlier and all never used to happen. So 4 days. So I had the time. So I worked with one of the a person that I know who speaks Sri Lankan Tamil. So I spoke to him, got it kind of, managed it for the audition, and that's how I did the audition. And then on scene, I was actually quite surprised the way they approached the faith that they had. I don't know. They said this is the scene. Of course, we did discuss. Mr. DK gave a very clear briefing uh, about the character and how the pre and the post, what happens to him, from where does he come, and then the scene after that. So that was very clearly, you know, uh, told to me, and then the freedom was completely mine. I was, I did what I thought would be right, and he gave that freedom, and I was very surprised. Actually, thanks to you, I don't think I ever said that to him and to Mr. Raj, but thanks to them, that's the kind of faith that they have in actors. That gives us more responsibility to push and deliver.
Yeah, true. Like when you get good actors, when you get talented people that's right for the role, I think that takes a huge load off directing, right? Now you can just sit back and watch what the actor is doing, what the actor him or her is bringing to the character, and how they're internalizing it, and all. Maybe here and there you might have to just nudge a little bit, but let them do the job. So I think we are lucky. I think with Family Man, literally down to the smallest actor, all our leads and everybody. I think the casting was done right.
So, Manoj, beyond the handshake and let's do it, did they share a Bible with you? What all did they share with you?
This
We share some wine.
both and Raj ran away from there after having two glasses of red wine, and DK and me we crumbled after a few hours. Anyway, so now I happen to be in USA, and I watched this series Narcos. That was the first time. That was the first time I got myself familiar with OTT and its work. And then again, I went there. Sacred Games. After that, what I started realizing while exploring the OTT world that the, the shows were all about sex, violence, and drugs. And I was quite binge watching. I was enjoying watching it, enjoying watching some great performances, watching some great directors work. But somewhere it was telling me that, if at all I have to do it, I don't want to do anything which has sex, violence, and drugs, because that's the template which OTT was filled up with. Um, and that is when Mukesh Chavra, I got a call from Mukesh Chavra, the casting director. He said, Rajan, they want to meet you. I said, okay, film है. No, it's the series है. I said, यार वही sex violence done होगा. And no, no, you have to meet them. Just meet them. Okay, and we met at the club or Indigo. Uh, and in 20 minutes, Raj has given me the synopsis of the series that they wanted to make. And what was so amazing about it, that he's giving me this story about spy from Chembur, and this is the way we want to make it a real one. And that kind of triggered everything inside. I said that it doesn't have sex violence guns, and it is talking about the real guy. We'll have fun. That's all. That is all. 20 minutes. The meeting lasted for 20 minutes. I said, okay, let's go ahead and do it. Please send me the script whenever it gets ready. Okay. And that's how it happened. It didn't take more than 20 minutes.
I'm curious to know, before the shoot, did you get anything beyond the script? As in, like the Bible that
Character
Apoorva.
arc on all that? No. It was there? Was it there? No.
No,
No.
some form of it might have been made. I think it's more of a conversation.
Yeah, more
about
of
his character and how.
yeah, what I think it works for each actor. It works different. For me, it's very important that I become friends with my director. And I start sitting with them. I start understanding where they are coming from, how they are looking at the character, and then I try to go beyond that and surprise myself. And put some new things, put some that give some new dimension to their characters and how they are looking at so that is very important for me to really read the scenes with them, read the script with them, or with my co-actors, and then read many times alone. And that is where that is the strength of my preparation, that I go through it again and again if I need it. So much so that it becomes part of, and it's very important mainly for the series because, as I said in the beginning, that you have to know the graph of your character. uh, Otherwise, it will look quite bizarre, because if there is no graph, the director can help you only that much because he is dealing with 100 characters. You can't be expecting him to come to you rescue. So you have to somewhere be sufficient when you're going on the set.
And I mean, one of the things we do, and we learned this, like probably we didn't do it on Family Man season one, but later on we learned this. We started creating dockets for each character. Like playing the role of Subbu, there will be a Subbu docket where it tells the whole story, like maybe like it tells the whole story leading up to the scene, and then it has the scene. So each actor gets a docket. So at any point, if they have a scene, they need to know what is happening before, after the scene, or they have to go back to their docket and look at it, where it's coming, what has happened, and what is happening afterwards. So we started doing that just by learning from these problems, how the actor now needs to remember everything. We made these dockets for each actor, like of course somebody like Manoj will get a hit docket because it's throughout, but people with lesser screen time would get the scenes that are relevant to them leading up to that, so they get a smaller docket. Everybody gets one.
Also, if you give anybody the 8 episodes, 10 episodes, the whole thing, right? Nobody's going to read it. I haven't seen anyone read it so far. It's if people are not even reading feature scripts when you had feature scripts, you still call for narration.
Raj ID. Raj ID. No, you know what happens. So there's a very interesting anecdote. So second season, we started shooting the before the release or the streaming of the first, and we went on the. I mean, we whatever that they have written, it came to me, and then I said, "No, a few things are missing. No, that's been written. That's been given to you. But let's start shooting." And when we started shooting, I felt the character thinking that he's the ghost.
Are you serious?
No, because it ended like that the first season.
Okay, I actually thought, so in my mind, I started acting with that thought in my mind that he's the ghost. And Sandy Raj one day said, "No, he's not the ghost right now. We are still thinking whether he should be separated or not, Manoj. But let's go ahead and shoot these things. Why is not going to do this? Because that is going to be the basis of the character's journey. The few scenes we've shot, and then I had to really manipulate my performance around the change the crowd.
Be more detached now. Like being in a marriage where it's kind of like being in a divorce. You're not there.
But it's easy with Manoj. You just say, and we'll say all this, but we'll figure it out.
Now, I wanted to ask you about reception and metrics. I'll start with Apoorva. Now, what is the measure of success for these shows? For example, um, for films, you have a Friday box office, right? So you have that report card that happens on a Friday. So how do you measure it with OTT? Do networks or sorry, do the streamers give you any numbers? Do they break it down for you? How do you know that you're succeeding?
I think I've had more experience with Netflix. They have this Putum, web numbers that really define what top 10 performing assets are across the world, country-wise, language-wise, and so on and so forth, genre-wise as well. But other than that, no, they don't share it because then we as creators will start demanding our real worth. But it's interesting. They do a summarizing of our metric in terms of viewership, where they drop creative feedback in terms of how many people completed the series, not in terms of numbers, but in percentages across the world. And the good part about metrics from OTTs is that they have global numbers for global assets performing across. So if Veerapan was compared to I think Johnny Depp's divorce, whatever, very badly. But it was, that one dropped and everybody started watching that and global viewership like kind of sucked out, literally sucked all the viewers out of our show. But the fact was, it was very interesting to understand, compare it, like in one shot, you can understand your performance versus any show in the world. These are things that I'm very interested in because data is something that I deeply appreciate in terms of number. And you keep digging into them, but real viewership, no, they don't share. I think the best metrics, Naman, to understand good performance of a show is how many more shows you can get commissioned. So I think that warm welcome and opening of doors becomes so much easier in terms of pitching and then inviting you again and again to be able to deliver as creators is the only good metric that I would say keeps us going.
Yeah, no, they don't share any numbers at all, even if you ask them. But what happens is they do give you a sense of how it's doing. They'll be like, this is doing well. Oh, this is doing very well.
But tell me, how come Ormax does the
So now there are outside agencies like Ormax, where I think they have like kind of like how people measure PR, not done by the channel.
it's based on the surveys?
Yeah, so they do surveys and they have their ways of.
Also, Manoj, I think there's a huge social media tap now that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
start extracting the
Yeah,
the
that's the buzz part.
The buzz
Viewership
part,
they do.
yeah.
But
Viewership is
yeah, but the biggest indicator of how successful a series is honestly is social media. How much how much like
Response
messages,
you're getting.
response you get, and love you get, how long it's lasting. You get a sense of oh my God, so many people are watching, so many people are talking about it, and this is the love, this is the hate. You understand that?
Basically, pieces, various things. Some of them is like they say how many subscribers, like the Family Man. They kind of gave us an idea that how many new subscribers came on the service and how many people finished it. These were the two metrics. Yeah, and we get a lot of subscriptions, right? So and then somebody said it's next to Marvelous at that point or something. So you get a number. Oh, we got it so many subscribers for Amazon Prime. That is the metrics. But the other piece would be social media. The other would be just public, just wherever you go and they say, I've seen the Family Man. So the number of people that would say were so high, you could see how far it traveled. And of course, the other metric would be how many of our actors who are traveling to shoot season 2 were upgraded to business class. And, but that is something, it doesn't remain hidden, it just it pops up. There is, two films of mine, Gulmohar and Banda. We didn't have any number. We didn't know how to measure the success of it in terms of the numbers. But suddenly, wherever you're going, or the responses that you're getting on, and it is lasting for months. But Banda suddenly, I started getting call from Z5 that we were only expecting these many thousands subscription in a month, but now we have crossed more than 2 lakhs. So they were talking about 1,000. They were expecting 1,000, the maximum. But here they were talking about lakhs. So that itself, says that it's a runaway, blockbuster, in box office language. So that's how you, and then you are traveling, meeting people in the flight, at the airport, wherever you're going. They're saying, "Sir,
And
आपकी
you get your
वो-"
watchman.
Yeah. Eh?
Your watchman who took a selfie with you after family man. That's all what.
Family man. Family man, you wherever you go. The photos, all the bachas come in. Family man. Family man. One photo, family man. That is the proof of the success of the project that you are part of.
It's like the old days. It's like the old days, right? Like 20, 30 years ago, like at the time of Sholay or Hamak, uh, when a movie plays, sorry? No, like in the olden days. Sholay is very old, but
Pre-social media.
yeah, pre box office numbers. Like nobody knows how much Sholay made. Nobody knows how much they made. But all you know is it's playing in your theater, in your local town, in your local theater, and it's playing, and it's playing, and it's playing, playing for 100 days. And everybody you meet has seen it. So people are like, okay, it's a hit. I mean, the only benchmark there is it ran for 100 days. But other than that, it's a hit. Nobody knows how much money it made. So I think we're back to that. We're saying if everybody you meet has watched it or it's still trending in the top 10 in the platform, that means people are still watching it after so many days. But you never know monetarily what it means.
See, it's also cinemas have a shelf life. When a movie is released, it has a shelf life. It's like decade is what is measurable. Here, the interesting part is it's there all the time. OTT. So people can watch even if they don't have the time. They can watch accordingly. They might take a month to see it. They might take 2 months to see it. But people do watch. So there's a consistent viewership that always goes on. That is what is interesting about OTT.
I want to add to that. So when season two dropped, season one's viewership went up. It was number one, number two. No, actually number one, number three. In between was Bollywood Housewives. Just very happy that people are actually escaping. But that's what happens. That there's rediscovery. There is renewed viewership just to catch up. When because of the pandemic, a lot of distance was created between season one, twos, or threes, and I think that really gives a boost to material that is probably not in the top launches or trending in the marketing their carousels, but has that fan following. But you're right, like nobody that Daily Crime is an introduction my mom wants to give you, right? Like when I walk in, nobody really knows I'm a producer of Daily Crime, but Daily Crime made it possible for people like us to be able to come into the limelight where we didn't have aspirations to create Bollywood films.
So while I have plenty of more questions for you, I think it's time to give the audience their time in the sun. So please raise your hands in an orderly fashion and please ask brief questions. And if you have any statements to make, this is not the forum, just ask questions. The gentleman in the third row, followed by the gentleman in the fifth row.
मैम मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे है फर्स्ट ऑफ थैंक यू सो मच मेरा क्वेश्चन था कि आपने बाइबल की बात की तो लाइक जैसे हम स्क्रिप्ट को मतलब रजिस्टर करते हैं एसडब्ल्यूए तो क्या हमें मतलब बाइबल को भी करवाना चाहिए अगर ऐसे कराना चाहिए तो कहाँ पे होती है उसके लिए
SWA में ही होता है।
SWA में होता है। Thank you.
सुरेश शर्मा विश्व इंडिपेंडेंट मैं बजपेयी जी से जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि
Wait for the mic, please, and wait your turn. Yeah, so it's the gentleman here. Wait for a couple of minutes. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
This is Parajan Deke. We absolutely love the family man, so we are hoping that at least will get update when it's going to come. Third, we said that what compelled you to make Cinema Bundy after making a blockbuster OTT web series Family Man?
Thank you. And next is the gentleman in the cap. Give him a mic, please.
Hindi cinema is always fresh. I always want to make those films. You don't go far away from Hindi cinema. So, it's Cinema Bundy for because it's so relevant here. Just want to quickly give you what happened is that we were here 3 years ago in Film Bazaar. We were one of the judges to choose the films. There were a lot of scripts being submitted. There were really beautiful ideas and a lot of people, other filmmakers too. But this was not even selected in the top 25 or whatever it was. Just sitting in the cafeteria, these two boys that came up and said, "We have an idea." And sure, people keep pitching all the time, but there was something special about it because they had a very pictorial way of representing. What I was trying to tell filmmakers here is that we should find a way to make it interesting, grab your attention in that few minutes. That was the book. That's it. They didn't have anything else. I said, okay, sounds good. If you're gonna do it this way, keep it real, keep it raw, with no actors. Go and shoot it. You have a phone. Go and shoot a short film and show us how it is, how we would have done it. That's what they did. They came back. They actually got back. Showed us in 3 months. A really nice short film. And we said, okay, I'm gonna keep my word and we put our own money because nobody's gonna fund this because there is no actor. Which made it with that budget they gave. Of course, went over the budget. They had to double.
Also, I think the condition was ki let's not just take the same. Let's take the same actors from the short film. All these newcomers, raw, fresh people. Let's make the film with them. The director was almost suggesting, should I approach this actor, that actor, and they were like, no, that's where we'll go wrong. So just stick to this exact same cast that you have. Go to the same village, cast more people that you need for the feature film, and yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. So they just stuck to it, and what's nice is that these kind of films don't have a home. Right? They never get a home. Film festivals are their traveling homes. That's what happened. Our first film too is hard to put out there. So we knew it was some cost that they could just go with it. But I should give a shout out to Netflix for giving a great house.
So, gentleman with the cap, followed by the lady with the mic.
विश्व हिंदी टाइम्स से सुरेश शर्मा मैं आदरणीय मनोज वाजपेयी जी से पूछना चाहता हूँ ये जो ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म है ओवर द टॉप प्लेटफॉर्म ये 15 साल इसके होने जा रहे हैं ये रिलायंस इंटरटेनमेंट ने इसकी शुरुआत की थी 2008 में अब 15 साल हो गए हैं इस बीच इसका एक रूप बन गया है तो मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि सिनेमा फिर टीवी सीरियल और उसके बाद ये सीरीज वाजपेयी जी सिनेमा के भी लीजेंड रहे हैं और ये जो सीरीज है उसके भी लीजेंड हो गए हैं तो इसके तीनों के विधा में यानी फिल्म और ये आपका चीज टीवी और सीरीज स्टोरी स्ट्रक्चर में क्या अंतर होता है क्या अंतर होता है दूसरा ये कि आप एक एक्टर की तरह तीनों जो अब जेनर है इसमें एक्टिंग में कुछ बदलाव अपना करते हैं आपको क्या कोई फर्क नहीं आता
सुनील जी नमस्कार कैसे हैं आप
जी मैं ठीक हूँ
दिल्ली जब से गए मिलना बंद हो गया आपसे जी पहला तो वो जो स्ट्रक्चर that question I think you guys should address. How do you structure this differently for films and OTT film and OTT series? How do you structure differently? I think that question should be asked. एक्टर के तौर पे सर मैं हमेशा से मानना रहा है कि मीडियम चाहे भले बदल जाए चाहे वो थिएटर हो चाहे रंगमंच हो थिएटर हो ओटीटी हो चाहे वो फिल्म हो थिएटर फिल्म एक ही चीज बदलती है, दर्शक की जगह पे कैमरा आ जाता है। और मैंने अपनी जिंदगी में उसके अलावा कुछ ज्यादा बदलाव नहीं किए हैं परफॉर्मेंस वाइज। एक किसी डायरेक्टर ने कहा था कि आप थिएटर में परफॉर्म करते हो तो लास्ट शो के लिए परफॉर्म करते हो, बट यहाँ पे लास्ट शो के लिए परफॉर्म करने की जरूरत नहीं, कैमरा आपका दर्शक है। सो दैट एक्चुअली वो उस बात ने जो है मेरे सारे चीजों को सॉल्व कर दिया। नाउ यू आर एक्टिंग फॉर द कैमरा, यू आर नॉट एक्टिंग फॉर द ऑडियंस। थिएटर में ऑडियंस सामने होती है, आप उनके लिए परफॉर्म कर रहे थे, इसलिए आपको लास्ट रो में भी सुनाई दे उतना प्रोजेक्शन आपको करना पड़ता है। लेकिन जब कैमरा ही आपका ऑडियंस है तो आपको प्रोजेक्शन करने की जरूरत ही नहीं। आपको सिर्फ ये ध्यान रखना है कि आपका कैरेक्टर जिससे आप बात कर रहे हैं कितनी दूरी पे खड़ा है। मेरी प्रॉब्लम वो नहीं होती, मेरी प्रॉब्लम होती है सटल एक्टिंग के नाम पे लोग जो नमन अगर उतनी दूर है तो सटल एक्टिंग के नाम पे मैं बुदबुदाऊंगा, नहीं तो लोग कहेंगे कि ओवर द टॉप हो रहा है। ये जो डर है ओवर द टॉप होने का वो इसलिए आता है बिकॉज हम लोग का स्किल सेट तैयार नहीं हुआ। अगर मैं नमन से बात करूंगा सिनेमा में भी तो मेरे पिच बढ़ेगा बिकॉज नमन मुझसे कुछ दूर है। लेकिन जब मैं डीके से बात करूंगा तो मेरा पिच डिफरेंट होगा बिकॉज ये मेरे बिल्कुल करीब। आजकल हमारे सिनेमा में सरल एक्टिंग के नाम पे हम दोनों से एक ही पिच पे बात कर रहे होते हैं क्योंकि कहीं कहीं ज्यादा ना हो जाए। दैट्स ऑल, उसके अलावा कुछ चेंज किया नहीं जाता।
lady there.
lot for a character. Like you read the same script and the same scene 50 times so that it is a part of you. And when you're able to go in front of the camera, you're still able to keep the spontaneity because you are able to just wipe your mind and just go. And it is so intrinsic to you how you would react in that situation as a character in that scene. So I wanted to ask, yesterday I had a listener with Contact Party, and he had mentioned that any character that you play, it should enrich you. It should make you into a better person than you were before. So, or it should bring qualities to you that you didn't have. So, is that something that you also experience?
Well, it depends what kind of characters you are playing. If you ask me, uh, what characters made me a better human being, I would say Ramachandran of Aligarh. He was a good man. I was playing a character who was basically a very fantastic human being. But when you're playing a character like Shrikant Tiwari, who's lying all the time, he's a good man, but his gray is a little much more, okay, than just the good side because he has to be too many things in one day, you know. So he's calling all kind of tricks, pulling all kind of tricks to really do the job of a husband, of a father, of a spy, of a colleague. So to very few characters that you play that actually helps you in becoming a better human being. There was a film called Gali Guliya that I have played, but that man was, you know, breaking down mentally, in the entire film. That there was a graph of him breaking down. By the end of it, I was almost on the verge of having a nervous breakdown. So that character will never, help me in becoming a better human being. But yes, what happens when you are playing a character, any character, you are trying to understand other characters.
That's what I meant.
Okay, when you are trying to understand patiently, when I'm trying to understand a character, that is also giving me capacity or a strength, a way to understand others. Okay, because what happens that in actual life, we are too self-obsessed. We are too much in love with ourselves. So we don't try to really understand the person who is talking to me or who I am coming across, who's sitting a little far away. So what is the best part about our profession as actors? that we are looking at people, we are observing them, we are trying to understand their backstory, we are trying to understand what mental conflict they are going through, all of those, aspects about other human beings. And when else you can, get to do that? As an actor, that is why they say you can be a very good actor if you are a good human being. Why they say that? Because when you are a good human being, you try to understand others.
There are plenty of other people with questions, so let's give them a chance. There's this gentleman followed by this gentleman with the curly hair and glasses.
Hello. Let's just everybody agree that we don't have Manoj Bajpayee here, but we have a little film school of acting here. So yeah, thank you so much, Manoj sir. My question is to Raj and DJ sir. While directing, what are those creative fights, or what are those conversations between you two? Like how an impromptu joke can like be final, and also asking Manoj sir, have you ever seen both of them fighting for an impromptu joke which is given by you?
That's an interesting question.
See, we know to make movies together. So that's the only way we know to make movies. We've been friends since college. So we pretty much write together, we write to direct. So everything is agreed on the paper. All the fights are happening in the office. So not much happens on the set, I think, right? You've seen us fight?
I have only seen Raj pulling his leg, and he very quietly, really suffering Raj's humor and his pranks on him. I have only seen that. DK doesn't even respond to his pranks and humor, which is so amazing.
Yeah, no, so, improvisations are always welcome from the actors. That's what Dayal was saying earlier, that we really get the actors. We don't even sit down with the actors before we start shooting. We don't do rehearsals much. We just talk, understand each other, be on the same page. The first day or so, it's fine tuning. After that, it's a free run. Really, actors get to do whatever they want to do, and we are there to possibly cover and kind of oversee it. Really, they do most of the job, I think.
I mean, the only surprise bit would be if actor does something, a bit wrong, do some ad-libbing. That's where the surprise comes. And I think we both look at each other and saying, "What do you think? Is it good? Is it going?" And we discuss by the time. Then Manoj comes and it's like,
We
"How
have
was it?" So we all discuss.
usually you will have two of us have to discuss because it's always a crowd around the monitor. You'll have to go away to discuss and say, "What do you think?" But we have a secret language that we speak in Telugu. So we speak to each other quietly on the leather. Manoj బాగా చేశాడా లేదా?
There are some Telugu people in the house, I think.
Oh, a lot of them.
There's a lady in the front. Do you have the mic here? Yeah, so the lady in the front first.
बोल रहे हैं तो यार.
Hi, good evening to
आपका
all
आएगा,
of you.
नंबर आएगा.
Lovely panel ahead in front of us, and thank you for sharing your personal experiences, which is very enriching for all of us. My question is a general question for everybody, even in the auditorium. But Manoj, this is for you.
Dolly.
Yeah, we have grown together from theatre till the end of first film that is was shared. And I feel, even as John, I feel there has been success and failures in all our lives. I want to know the Manoj that I know, how has he faced failures? Success is there in front of us, but there have been moments like me also, we get into our own shells. So I want to know, Manoj, how you dealt with it.
Um, Dolly, the initial time in Bombay, Mumbai, which is called now, initial years in Mumbai without work was very difficult. Why it was difficult? Because when I was doing theatre, when you were also there, we were doing theatre without getting paid. I mean, there's no money in it. So, but I was very busy. I was kind of working with Barry John. I had my own group that I was busy with. There was no time for anything else. But the amount of work that we were putting in theatre was not giving us time to even think that we are hungry. Okay? It was not giving us time to think that we don't have money to take a bus back to the room. Okay? It was not giving us time for anything. We were so driven, we were so passionate. Days were filled with activities and the plays and the rehearsals. And suddenly when you land in Mumbai, you don't have work. And everybody thinks that, our days in Delhi was difficult. No, it was so fantastic because we were learning every day, we were practicing, we were rehearsing. There was no time for anything. If we felt that, I want to have samosa, I'm very hungry, I'll immediately go to DK and say, if you have 2 rupees, give it to me, I want to buy a samosa. So that was the kind of time we, we enjoyed together with our friends, with our colleagues who were working together. But in Mumbai, when you land, you don't know anybody and you don't have enough money. You have to really be worried about your rent. You have to be worried about your food, and you don't have work. When whichever office you go to, a person who came straight away from his village and landed in that office, and you who have done 10 years of theatre will be measured equally. Okay, so that was a very frustrating time, and it was a horrendous time. Uh, but the low that I faced after a few years of Satya, that I took it very well. I would say. After those 5 6 years of lows, I think I used it so well that never seemed like. I used to conduct workshops, I used to attend workshops, I used to read a lot, I used to go back to my village, meet people, just watch plays, watch films. So the initial days of the struggle in Mumbai was very bad, but the low that I have faced after a few years of Satya, that was handled very well. I suddenly, I became very disciplined. I started working on myself, and I started thinking that we have to, I have to really prepare myself for the next opportunity. So that is, I think, I think that somebody gave me this lesson that lows are or a struggle time are the best time to really uh, solidify yourself. And because if you are not working on yourself, then how are you going to use the opportunity which will land up in your life? So it's best to keep working on yourself. I know it's easier said than done. मनोज बाजपेयी यहाँ से ज्ञान दे सकता है आपको लेकिन खुद पे पड़ती हो तो बहुत भारी पड़ता है but there is no other choice, there is no other option. You have to prepare yourself for the opportunity which will come from which may come from directors like Raj and DK. And that time you can't say that I'm going back to workshop to learn acting. You can't afford to say that.
The gentleman here has been waiting for a long time.
Hi there. So firstly, big fan of your work, all of you. So my question is to Raj sir and DK sir. So today, nowadays, I feel that a lot of people are very short attention span. And so when you were making a web series of Family Man, of approximately 10 hours, so what was your plan to engage the audience and create a narrative act so that it keeps the audience invested?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people, I mean, or at least common perception is that a film will have crisp and fast moving scenes and a series will have slow scenes. But I don't think that is true, or at least for the content we make. Because we treat, even in terms of pacing, we treat our series as much as, just like we would treat our films. The only difference is there is more content. So the pacing of our shows, if you were to see, perhaps, is that they will be running at a pace of a film. Things that are happening. If there is a 2 minute relation, like a 2 minute fight between a husband and a wife in a film, we might have a 4 minute fight between a husband and a wife in a film. But that's not because the same fight is taking longer or it's going slower. It's because they can dig deeper and put more and more nuances in the fight. But the pace at which it moves is the same because now you feel that you have 8 hours or 9 hours to tell the story, and you have a lot of story to tell. So that is what is important. The length should come from the amount of story you're telling, but not telling the same story slowly.
The lady in the back.
Hello everyone. My name is Pratibha Solaway and I am
Trinity Women's University, and we are here with all our students. Sir, सबसे पहले मनोज sir, I love you. And my question is to Krishna sir. Sir, जब हम हमारी फिल्म बनाते हैं, अगर हमारा कोई प्रोडक्शन हाउस है एंड वी वर्क फॉर अ फिल्म, और अगर हम ओटीटी के साथ काम करते हैं, तो क्रिएटिवली या फिर प्रोडक्शन वाइज और बजट वाइज हाउ इट इज डिफरेंट. I'm asking this question because one of my friend has written a web series of 7 episodes, and he is trying to find out the way he should approach a producer or any OTT platform. So how it is different and how to go forward with.
You have a script and you want to get it made.
Yes.
That's the question.
Yes.
A series,
Yes.
especially. It's hard when you send it to the platforms directly because I don't know they get tons of it. I don't know how many they can actually start greenlighting it because they would like a director and producer attached to it, ideally. So I would suggest going to producers, studios who would be interested in a subject like that than going directly to Netflix or
The gentleman here. Hang on. You want to ask a question? Hang on, just let this gentleman ask and we'll give you the mic next. Give him the mic next.
Good afternoon, sir. First of all, thank you so much. Young filmmaker from Hyderabad. Question has been very simple. Did a film called Happy that was way long back. It's been a long time, so we need to come back to Telugu. Please. Sir, second question. Namaste, sir. Rajan Mike, sir. Big fan of your work. Sir, మీరు ఎప్పుడు తెలుగులో డైరెక్టర్ చేస్తారు సార్?
చేయాలి సార్ లైక్ మంచి మంచి డైరెక్టర్స్ దొరుకుతున్నారు మాకు సో వాళ్ళ దగ్గర చేపిద్దాం
సార్ మీ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ హ్యూమర్ తెలుగులో మిస్సింగ్.
Yeah. Okay, no, let him finish first.
Yeah, that's all. Like when you going to do a
He's asking us when are we going to direct in Telugu. So I'm saying that we are terming ourselves as filmmakers. So we don't necessarily have to direct the film. We can still write with somebody. We can still produce with somebody. So we're being flexible that we can make all kinds of cinema. That not everything has to be. Not everything has to go and say action and cut. We can do a lot of things like we did for Stree, and there's a new series coming up called Kulkanda Tales. We haven't directed it, but there's so much part of it that it's like that. I mean, I'd like to do something in Telugu too. Starting with Cinema Bandi, we want to do more.
Sir, Manoj sir, waiting for your answer. Next Telugu film.
I think I'll work in Telugu when Rajan will make a Telugu.
Thank you so much, sir.
Gentleman at the
Thanks
back.
for your attention.
With the beard.
Poor guy, can you please give him the mic?
Yeah.
It's a long time. He's
He's been waiting for a while. And then followed by the gentleman in the cap.
Yes, please.
Namaste, Max. First time talking in mic.
First time talking in.
Right, sir.
First time you're talking in the mic.
Hold the mic like this.
Let's clap for him.
Just पूछना है सवाल हुआ who you want to ask. You have a question or a statement?
Everyone, sir. Hello. Hi.
You have a question?
No question, sir. No many questions. Sir, I'm a filmmaker. First time I got a chance to tell I'm a filmmaker. Yeah, sir. నేను తెలుగు సినిమా ఇద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నా సార్.
చెప్పే ఇంకా.
అంతే కదా. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentleman over there.
చాలా గట్స్ ఉంది పా నీకు.
Good evening, sir. I'm Suresh Kumar from Online Media, and my question is to all five of them. The question is one thing at 2024. If you wish you want to add on to this OTT platform, what would it be? Each one wish of yours to add on at 2020.
I've produced a film for the past 6 years. It's an animation film. It's hand-drawn, Japanese style, South Asian film. So that's what I want to distribute. in terms of and season 3.
You're saying what from our side?
We already have 2 shows coming
I
next
think
year.
he meant in
a
a
larger
wish
vision.
list. Like for
Wide
example,
away.
I'm so happy for the fact that documentaries are making such a big impact on OTT. Veerappan is a great example, and few years ago, nobody had watched documentaries in India. They're all relegated to film festivals where the crowd doesn't even go. Now imagine the amount of people that are it's trending on top. So something like that, I'd like to see short films making it into OTT, which we don't see. Yeah, that's my nomination.
Yeah, there you go. I think he covered everything. I mean, बाकी सब तो आता ही है. So I don't know what else can come.
No, that's a very good question actually. I don't know whether it's a question or not, but one thing, all OTT platforms started with initially, that they were really mentoring independent cinema, and that somewhere, got lost. Somewhere, I don't know for what reason, that it has gone down completely. Now we see all the box office blockbusters making their way big time. But the independent cinema movement that started and it was getting such mentorship from the OTT platforms, that is gone. And that is a very sad development because if independent cinemas are not there, I don't think there will be what do you call it? Will not grow as as the industry. Will only grow as an industry in terms of money, but will not grow as an industry as creative people.
Yeah, new voices.
Yeah,
Totally.
new voices. New voices should be applauded, should be given platforms. Um, so I think that they were doing it so beautifully well.
Yeah, they were
initially.
earlier. All these movies were directly made or shown on OTT. Now there's a clause that you have to it has to play in theaters. Only then we'll take it. Right there, it's taken off all the cinema that can actually be watched. They're all sitting there in cans because they're not going to get a film release so easy.
No, I mean it's so difficult for any independent film to really stand a chance in front of a say Jawan or Pathan or say Tiger 3. It can't stand a chance. And if you are giving shows at 9 o'clock in the morning for an independent film, it will never do well. It will fall flat. But the platforms were doing it so well. They were really mentoring it initially. I really request from this stage to all these platforms to really revive that mentorship.
Phenomenon worldwide, I think, right?
Yeah,
Because
also,
not just in India, because there used to be a time when there would be a theatrical film and there would be an OTT film, which was a certain way. But from what I know, a couple of years ago, the Russo brothers made The Grey Man for Netflix, so which is as big as any theatrical film. So now, I think every film is a big film in that
Right.
sense.
no, but I would like to add because I start the whole independent to straight to OTT was a solution that I was in, like a part of that whole journey. And I completely agree with you. There is no safe home for independence left, and that is happening because a lot of the resources after Windows are going into the blockbusters. So it's really what was beautiful about this panel today and what the biggest argument that I take away is independence makes for filmmakers to become better show creators and showrunners, and that kind of feeding is very important to go into investment in acquisitions of independence. I think, and it's not very expensive to acquire independence. It's very little money, but to have make them have a home and a dedicated carousel so that people who watch independence can reach there. And I think
I
that's
personally feel that no industry can evolve without independence.
I'm sorry, that's
One
all.
more thing.
It's about also the time frame that IPs are taking when it comes to originals. They take a longer time by the time they greenlight it and then they actually go on course. Maybe that is also putting a lot of waiting period for new age directors. So even if they can shorten that, they are talking about it. But if can shorten that process of greenlighting it and taking it to the floors. That's another thing that I wish.
That's all we have time
Yeah,
for, unfortunately.
I have one question. I have one question for Raj and DK. So,
Very quick.
some months ago, we met at SWA, and in that conference, you had shown us the glimpse of your presentation, how from scratch you prepare for, Family Man. So, likewise, do you have the same process for the other, your projects as well? And also, can we please have a glimpse of that? I mean, it was excellently made, actually, the presentation with the.
Answer very quickly. No, we do. There has to be an organized way to do anything for that matter. We can. People thought we smoked up and made go one. You can't make a zombie film. Hi, you have to be sober for everything. It has to be structure organization. We will do another master class where we'll talk about. We will clearly show how we do it, how we do our cards and scripters and all that. We'll do it. Should be done.
Now see that the glimpse of that because act
I
wise
have
you
it.
had even shown the script and Bible and everything.
We had to prepare it, right?
It was not available at the
No, we haven't done that. It was not meant to be a master class.
We end with a word from Manoj.
Yes, I'm an actor, and I'm, just when our films are releasing, we become very selfish. So, I would like to plug in Joram here. Joram, our film is releasing on 8th December in theatre. We've talked enough about independent films, and this film has done wonders in all the festivals. It's a great film. Personally, I feel it's a great film. Please go and watch it in theatre. सिर्फ बड़ी फिल्में देखने नहीं जाना होता है, ये भी फिल्में देखनी होती है. बहुत अच्छी फिल्म है, बहुत ही ग्रेट फिल्म है. उसका ट्रेलर अभी दिखा रहे हैं आपको.
Thank you, Mr.
अपने गाँव देखेंगे बड़ा बड़ा पेड़ हुआ करता था जो यहाँ कहीं नदी भी था.
सर वो जो बंडल का धागा था कोई चोरी का सामान नहीं, उसकी 3 महीने की बच्ची है.
वहाँ जो बंडल से कहा गया है इसमें
आइए रत्नाकर जी आइए. मेकअप के लिए कुछ ऑफिसर और हम छोड़ के नहीं भागे हैं, छोड़ के भागे रहे हम.
खाना भी चाहे इतना करते करते नहीं सोचा भी.
देखने जरूर जाइएगा. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. थैंक यू. बाय.
Thank you, Mr. Ramachandran, for moderating the session. We also thank our esteemed family members for sharing their insights and experiences with us. We also like to thank the 54th International Film Festival of India and Subsequent Way Film and Television Institute for this session. We thank you, the audience, for being with us. We hope you enjoyed the session and learned something new. We hope to see you again for our next session. Thank you.
Yeah.